Hello, friends, and welcome to the Nugget Climbing Podcast. This is your host, Stephen Dimmitt, and today's episode is a look behind the curtain at nature climbing. Nature climbing is based in Denmark, and they're best known for these beautiful granite and sandstone climbing holds that they make. I got a chance to climb on some of their holds back in December, and I was really impressed. It was such a unique experience to climb on rock inside, and I wanted to know who is making these things. And so my guests today are Mads, the founder, and Pawel, the marketing guru from Nature Climbing. And I really enjoyed getting to know both of these guys. I got to hear the origin story of the brand from Mads and how he thinks about craftsmanship and creating beautiful products. He's also a badass climber. He's climbed V13, and it was really cool to hear a bit about his own climbing and his inspiration and motivation that he gets from climbing on these granite holds. And then Pawel has a really interesting background in marketing. He comes from the skateboarding world, and it was really interesting to hear how he thinks about marketing and creating the story around a brand. That's something I find really interesting as a business owner as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. If you're interested in nature climbing products, be sure to listen to the very end of this episode because Nature is graciously offering my listeners 20% off any nature climbing products. They make climbing holds, they make hangboards with built-in granite edges that are super cool. They make handmade climbing brushes, they sell their own chalk. They've got a bunch of cool stuff going on over there at Nature Climbing. So be sure to listen to the very end of this episode for that discount if you want to check them out. All right, I think that's everything. Please enjoy this wide-ranging conversation with Mads and Pawel from Nature Climbing.
Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it.
Look at you guys. We've got a nice backdrop behind you, Pawel. We've got some beautiful holds behind you, Mads. Such professionals.
I'm not proud of the background though, but I think it was better than the acoustic panels on the other side.
Where are you, Pawel? Are you in a studio somewhere?
I am actually in a studio, like in my, I'm in a co-working space in Copenhagen. I rent a desk here and there's a few podcasters. So there is an actual built-in professional podcast studio. There's some people who live out of making podcasts, sharing the office with me. So I'm very privileged. So I have literally 3 mics pointing at me right now and a big piece of light. So I'm well lit, some console, sound panels, bulletproof.
Amazing. That's so great. And Mads, you've got the pro setup. You've got the SM7B. That's actually a microphone that I don't even have yet. I'm planning to get one of those soon.
I knew you would say this because I showed it to the guys up here and they were like, this is actually one of the best microphones. And I was like, okay, cool.
That's like the one. That's like the Joe Rogan classic go-to podcasting microphone. So
really?
You nailed it.
Cool. It's good.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
How are you both? How are you, Mads?
I'm good. It's the first time I'm here for like a bit late in the office, because I just got a little boy. He's 3 months now, so it takes a lot of time. But today I had a lot of time here in the office. It's super nice. So I'm good.
That's great. Congrats on your little guy. What's his name?
Yeah, his name is Noah.
Noah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Love that. All right. How are you, Pawel?
I'm also good. I've been struggling a bit with a tiny cold and a sore throat. So I'm also stacked up on all sorts of pills and a tea around me. And the studio I'm at is actually in a basement. So it's probably not the best for my voice, but let's see how it goes. And then I'm really good. I've been really enjoying the past days and summer here in Copenhagen.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's great to hear. Nice. Yeah, better living through chemistry, as they say. Sometimes the show must go on, You gotta just power through. Well, I'm all ready to go on my end. How you guys feeling?
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah,
let's go.
Good.
Okay.
Let's keep it open. Let's keep it friendly.
All right. I love
thought
it.
You were recording already.
I am recording already. I just usually let the banter go for a while, and then sometimes I cut out the beginning. But but I'll probably leave a lot of this in. I think we should start by me sharing how I first came across your holds. And for people that are, very close listeners of the podcast, they will recognize Nature Climbing. They'll recognize your name from my episode with Tyler Nelson. I was traveling through Salt Lake City back in December on my way to Colorado and stopped and had a climbing session with Tyler. And I've gone through there several times, and I've gone and seen Tyler several times over the years. And, he had this really cool climbing wall in his office before. It was really funny, actually. He shared an office with he shared a building with other medical professionals. I think there was like a dentist that worked in the same building, but he had a climbing wall in his office and would blast metal music. You could like hear bros like grunting and screaming down the hall and stuff. It was classic. And I saw these beautiful granite holds on the wall. And it wasn't until this past December going through and having a session with him, climbing on his wall at the Grasshopper shop, that I finally got to try Nature holds. And it was such a cool experience to, first kind of see how Tyler warms up and learn how he approaches a climbing session and stuff. We got into that in the podcast with him. And then to actually climb on granite inside. And I was so impressed immediately with the craftsmanship of what you guys are doing. I didn't know who you were. I really wanted to connect and find out how the hell are they making these things, and like who is behind these beautiful holds. Because for people that haven't seen these, some of them are just pieces of rock on the wall, and I've seen kind of like DIY versions of that. Yours are much more professional and a lot more beautiful, but many of us have seen that, like someone takes a rock and sticks it to the wall with epoxy or something, and that's pretty cool. But then some of your holds are these beautiful combinations of granite and wood, and you still manage to get the rock texture on there, even though it's like a perfect flat edge. And I'm just like, how the hell are they doing this? And where are these things coming from? So anyway, that was my first impression. I really enjoyed climbing on your holds, and I'm really excited to get to know you both. So welcome. Yeah, thanks so much for being here. Mads, of course, you are the guy behind the brand. You're the founder. And Pawel, you've joined more recently, and you're the marketing guru coming from the high-end skateboarding world. And I'm really excited that you're both here because, Mads, I want to get to know you and hear the origin story of the brand and, find out why you're so passionate about making these holds. And then, Pawel, I'm really curious to talk to you about building a brand and what you've learned and what made you excited to partner with Mads and work on Nature when there's, so many other doors open to you, presumably. So yeah, thank you both for being here. It's really fun to get to finally do this.
Thank you, Steven. We're psyched.
Thanks, Steven. What a perfect intro. I loved it.
Yes.
Let's kick things off with the origin story. I want to get to know you, Mads.
Yeah.
Tell me about glass blowing. What does starting a climbing hold company have to do with glass blowing?
Yeah, cool. So my mom, she's a glass blower, like glass artist. And, I always been in her workshop when I was little and, see how she crafted stuff from nothing to something, just like melted sand, which in the end became a glass or something else. So there's been a lot of like design ideas, when we walked in nature, she saw berries and was like, oh, this is so cool. Maybe I can, craft something with glass out of this piece. So yeah, so it was very close to me to like design things. And at some point we were at our summer house, which is like on a little island in Denmark called Tunø. And I just recently built a home wall in my parents' garage, like all other psyched 15-year-old climbers. So yeah, and then I should buy holds and they were expensive. So we walked at the beach and then suddenly I was like, oh, there's climbing holds everywhere. Like, wow. And I was to my mom and dad like, can I bring some home? And they looked at me and was like, what is wrong with this kid? He wants to pick up like 20 kilos of rock and bring them home. But yeah, I got them in a backpack, and I got like permission to use my mom's tools that she used for glass. I figured out that it was tools for glass, not stone, because I broke some of the very expensive tools. But yeah, that was how the first nature climbing hold was made, and I put them up on the wall and started training. I was super psyched, and I was thinking they look ugly, but you can make them pretty somehow. And then I started researching on stone and how to integrate wood pieces and stuff. And yeah, that is like the beginning, and how glass blowing is combined with the born of nature climbing.
I love that. Describe some of your first holds that you put on your home wall. I mean, were you, obviously at this point you weren't doing like some of the diamond cut stuff that you do now. That's just beautiful. But were you drilling holes? Were you screwing these onto the wall, or were you gluing them?
So I was cutting the stone. That's also actually how we do it today. Like, you have the stone and you cut it into 2 pieces. So, you angle them and see, okay, here I have a little in cut, and on the other side there's a slope. So I would do the cut here, and then I have 2 nice holes. So I cut them, and then I drilled them with the glass diamond tools. And then I just drilled them to the plywood wall. And it in Denmark we have a lot of like cornfields, and you always have these stones that is really round, and for me the color of them is like nothing special. It just looked like, I don't know, some cheap stones or something. So they were up on the wall, but for me they weren't so pretty. Yeah, but they had edges. They were smooth. If I closed my eyes, I could feel a little outdoor feeling. So yeah, so that was the first holes. Yeah, actually I still have them at my parents' house.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's great. And yeah, you are, for people that I didn't know this about you until our first conversation a few weeks ago, but you are one hell of a climber. So you were really doing this out of kind of a self-serving like desire to just train and prepare to be able to go on trips and climb your projects and things.
Cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Tell me about your first 8A. It sounds like that was a really special story. We're going to bounce around here a little bit. We'll talk more about the brand in a second.
Yeah. Yeah. So like my first 8A was actually in Rocklands. It was Golden, Virginia. 1 year later it's got downgraded to 7C plus, but I at the time I was psyched for it. So that was my first 8A, and I was just so passionate about climbing. I loved the community. I remember first time walking into a climbing gym, and people were just so friendly, and I loved the vibe, and I just started climb almost every day. So, and then I just traveled. I've been in a lot of countries and climbed, and also I get inspired every time I'm outdoor, and I try to bring new products. When I go to Fontainebleau, I try to do a video outside in the forest, because it's like the place I love the most, and announce like, hey, we have this new stoke board or whatever. And then in this video I talked about Saruman, which is my like favorite 8A in Font. So it took some years, a lot of sessions. I think it was last season I was down there before we got our little boy, and I was just so tired. I was almost getting to the top hole, and I fell off, and I was like, oh no, that was it. Next season. But I gave it one more try, and the magic let's go, and I stood on top of the spoiler, and that was my favorite 8A climb for sure.
Mm. Why do you love Fontainebleau so much? I mean, obviously it's one of the greatest bouldering areas in the world, but what makes it so special for you?
It's special for me because I feel if you want to send boulders in Fontainebleau, you need to be able to climb, not be strong, but really be able to move and find good body positions. So you can even climb hard boulders, and at the moment where you climb them, you're like, it didn't feel so physically hard as I imagined. So yeah, and then also just the 8As are amazing, but the 6As are also amazing. So yeah, and I also just enjoy climbing a lot of different styles and just hanging out in the forest.
That's beautiful. Well, that'll be a great place to take your little guy eventually.
Yeah.
Family trips.
I will at some point. Actually, last time I was there, we met up with Justin from Rhinoskin.
Cool.
Yeah, we are distributing the products here in Europe. And he had his little boy. And I said to him, wow, this is a dream for me to be down here in the forest and climb with the family. And he said, yeah, like it's the best. You should look forward to it. Yeah. So
that's awesome. So Justin and Andy are friends of mine from when I lived in Bend and climbed at Smith and stuff. And I actually haven't met their little guy yet. So that's really fun. I'm really happy for them.
Yeah.
Pawel, let's get to know you a little bit. So tell me, you have a little bit of an unlikely background, being a guy who's now working at a climbing hold company. Yeah, tell me about your career background.
It's more than climbing holds, not only climbing holds. Let's stick to that story.
Nature, yeah. More than climbing holds.
Yeah, I have a background in. I graduated from accounting many years ago, and it was just out of. I really didn't know what to study. I was one of those students that was really good in all the subjects, and I really had hard times choosing what I want to do. And business, accounting, finance seemed like a thing for me that when I finished that, I will still be able to choose a lot of stuff to do, which I regretted badly. And the only thing I've learned graduating this thing was that I never want to do any of this stuff again, which, I mean, quite frankly, I think a lot of people don't figure that out. They graduate something and they just assume that they have to do it because they just spent 5 years learning it.
Totally.
I haven't spent a day doing anything finance related. So during my studies, I moved to Denmark to study. I'm originally from Poland. It was 12 years ago. And back in Poland, when I was maybe I was around 19, 18, me and a couple of my friends, or basically one friend, we were running a skate shop literally in an apartment in a garage, selling maybe 4 skateboards, skimboards, some random yo-yos, some neoprene suits for surfing, like all random passion projects, fingerboards, these kind of things. Not the fingerboards that I'm used to right now, but like actual tiny skateboards, fingerboards. So everything basically that we could sell of our first web shop, Amazon, eBay kind of stuff, yeah, I mean, in a good month, I would maybe earn around $300 per month. It was a good month when we could both pay ourselves a salary at that point. But we did it for quite a long time. And quite frankly, I did it mostly because it was just next to my parents' house, like literally the house next to us, that we were able to rent the space and run it over there. So it was like a perfect student job for me because I was hanging around with a lot of skateboarders. I skated a bit myself, and it just seemed like something more interesting than working in a cafe to me. But anyway, fast forward, when I moved to Denmark, I again didn't want to end up in a student job that would just drain me. And just biking around the city, I saw just plenty of stickers of a skate shop that I was just quite interested about. Like, how is it that a skate shop is all over the city? I literally just contacted the guys the same day. I'm like, hey, I'm Paweł. I used to have a tiny web shop, skate shop back in Poland. Like, let's talk. And the same day, literally the same day, they called me up like, hey, we're actually super busy today. Do you want to come through? Whoa. And then only then I found out that it was at that point the biggest skate shop in Scandinavia, mostly running e-commerce and online, but also had 2 physical stores with like a huge ambitions just to be international and like expand to all sorts of passion sports. So from skateboarding to rollerblading to surfing to skiing, snowboarding, scootering, whatnot, you know. So I joined, in my view, in the perfect moment. I was studying something seemingly smart. I was unlike other skateboarders because I had actual background in business and understood numbers. I had background in running e-commerce in my small company. And I was an expat and I could just be paid way less than anybody else. So I think I was just a perfect fit for the company. And we just grew so fast. When I joined, I think I was employee number 18. I was there for 6 years and we were around 200 people.
Wow.
That's insane for any skate shop. So we became big in all of the Europe. We became big in US. We had a team of 100 athletes or athletes. You can call them athletes today. Yeah. Athletes, skateboarders, whatnot. So it was an amazing path throughout my studies. And after the studies, just to grow a huge company with very passionate people. Like most of the people that work in the company had some sort of connection to passion sports, or they did something. If they were not skateboarders, they were actually climbers. I started climbing working in that space because I met a guy who was really into climbing, Gregor. He still climbs. He was climbing at the same gym that Mads and I climb right now. And he got me into it. And with all the stories that, like Mads says, he was going to Fountain and many other places in Germany. So yeah, that was the group of very psyched people and psyched about all sorts of things. And we grew this company quite big. That's my background, how I ended up doing... I missed that part. And I ended up in marketing. At the beginning, I was doing the actual physical work of packing stuff and doing the logistics. And then I moved on to customer support because we wanted to, like, people who understand the product to talk to the customers. This is what we are really big on. Like, we really wanted to help people buy the right product by actually talking to them. So just to change the idea of, you know, e-commerce is funny place. It's like, here is a picture of a product, here is a price, buy it. You know, it's like, it's very hard to take decisions like that. And we really were going big on explaining everything on the website, through the videos, all sorts of content. And I think at the peak, we had 30 people working in customer support, speaking 30 languages, that you could literally call us and write us from any place in the world and ask, what size of rollerblades do I want to buy? Or what sorts of bearings do I get my son because his skateboard is making noise? So we were really geeky on understanding what we're doing. So it was like in any other startup, I guess, you end up bouncing all departments. You end up working a bit here and then purchase. And then we need someone in marketing. We need someone with numbers. And then marketing seemed very comfortable for me at that point, and very convenient and fast growing. And it always looks good on your CV. And I know I was lucky. I was lucky to end up there. I was lucky to build all of my competency with people who are psyched, who are passionate, who went on trips with me. I went on the trips with them, doing all sorts of sports. And it's always looked good to be on a company that's successful. And we were very successful back then. So, and I already knew Mads back then. That's what Mads maybe doesn't remember, but I started climbing. Maybe this was 9 years ago, I think. I quit the company a long time ago. And I remember Mads because he was setting in this gym that I went to climbing. And this gym still is actually on the way. So between my home and that company, they were called Skate Pro, the bouldering gym, Boulders, that both me and Mads climb at, was on the way to work. So I remember Mads clearly. And I remember his stuff. I remember the brushes that he was producing back then. And my friend Gregor, who got me into climbing, and he was my climbing buddy for years. I remember when he dreamt about getting the nature climbing brush for a very long time. Like, he got it, and I was like, man, like, you can get the brush for like $2, like the plastic. Why would you buy this thing? And I was new to it, and I did not understand, like, it's just a brush. Some people were still using toothbrushes, you know.
I back then.
Yeah, it was back then. So I remember Mads clearly from that time as a route setter and from his products. I think, maybe correct me, Mads, like Borders, that gym was probably the first place where you were selling the products physically, or weren't it? That's how I remember it.
Yeah. No, actually, I was climbing in another gym before Boulders even like got built, which were like the first. They still have some of the first like actual raw granite holes. Yeah, on the wall. So, but yeah, then Boulders opened 1 year later, and I got in there working as a route setter.
So, how did you two connect? And this is a question for you, Mads. What made you want to bring on Pawel?
So, we felt like we needed, it's always hard when you're a small company. You need to hire, but you don't have the money to hire. So, what do? You find psyched, passionate people and tell them, like, hey, this is my dream. Do you want to be a part of it? So, it can also be your dream. And we tried to reach out to our network, actually through Instagram, and we got a lot of applications from all over the world, which was so cool. Many sweet people. We talked with all of them. And, then Pavel applied, and I was like, hey, what's up? I just called him, like, cool. And I remember him saying, yeah, it's super cool. I'm way overqualified for this position. But let's see, maybe it could be something. And he explained to me what he had been doing. And after that, I just saw the growing from a small company to a bigger, and it's the sport like skateboarding was. And I remember just calling him and say, I know that you're way overqualified and I can't pay you enough, but please consider this. It will be very fun, and at someday we will be able to live off this and climb around the world. Yeah.
Mads, when you said, I have this dream and it can be your dream too, do you remember what that was? Like, what was it specifically that you were hoping to build?
I wanted to build, my own brand, and I just been so passionate about climbing, and I didn't knew exactly what to do after gymnasium. So I just started creating stuff, and I was in the climbing gym all the time. So just created climbing stuff. So for me, my dream is that being able to create some meaningful climbing gear, and not just, mass produce something to earn money. It was never a dream to earn a lot of money. It was a dream to live and be able to just have a life, and, if possible, not only for me, but also for other people. And, now there are other people that are getting paid, and it's going in that direction.
I love that. Yeah, that's amazing. And Pavel, is it Pavel, not Powell? Pavel?
Both work. I mean, I've been living abroad long enough to have my name butchered in all sorts of ways. So neither of you are correct.
Neither of us are correct.
So I both are fine. Yeah.
How do you say it?
It will be Pavel.
Pavel.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, that was pretty good. But yeah, just go with the other two. Like sometimes I even when I'm with my Polish friends and there's some internationals, and I introduce my names with the international pronunciation, which is completely wrong, and it's not even my name. And my friends from Poland look at me like, "Why would you even do that? That's not your name."
Yeah.
But I just want to save people the time of this back and forth of how do you pronounce it, and they're not being able to do that. Yeah, perks of being an expat. It happens more often than you think.
That's classic. Okay, so coming from this very successful situation where you're, presumably getting paid pretty well by this big company that's grown and become successful, also sounds like you loved that job. Why did you say yes to nature? Why were you interested in that? Because it sounds like you took a pretty big pay cut, right? Like this was definitely like, as far as a career, as kind of a step backwards, so to speak. But
I mean, okay, there's a few steps in between, because I was, in the meantime, before I worked with Mads, I was headhunted by a rather big media agency doing very innovative digital marketing, media buying, working with huge brands in Scandinavia, like HBO size of companies. HBO was one of the companies that we worked with as well. So I completely gave up on working with skateboarding and passion projects for a while, which took, I think, more than 6 years of my life. And I felt like maybe this is a good time. And then, of course, media companies salaries were way bigger than I would have had at Skate Pro. Spent good 3 years doing the media stuff, and then, long story short, learned a ton. Work with some of the smartest people I've ever met. But you always end up in teams growing other people's businesses that you have nothing to do with, like
right.
Yeah, I don't know, cosmetics companies, companies, like HBO, which is cool. You can brag to your friends that you're doing a project with HBO, but you're a part of 35 people team and you're just doing this one thing. Later, I was actually very lucky that I've worked for quite a while with a very big, like a holding company of outdoor brands around Scandinavia. So doing outdoor clothing, outdoor gear as well, nature stuff, big e-commerce company, like a web shop selling outdoorsy things. So it was very close to me. So I quite like that. And the products I was relating to quite a bit, and I became sort of an expert in that field. I understood the industry. I understood what sentiments do customers have, what's the seasonality, what do people buy. I understood the products from camping gear to climbing gear as well. So that became my thing. But in the end, and it's not to say anything about my previous employer, I just got burned out. I really didn't want to stay in a big company anymore. And I just decided to quit without having a plan B, really. And then fast forward, not to make it so much about this story, I was planning to do some freelance for a while after I quit. I thought that I know enough. I thought I was strong enough to contribute to many companies. And I was playing with this idea that I want to maybe join some projects as a freelance marketing manager or a specialist in digital marketing and whatnot. But I wasn't sure enough that I want to do it 100% from the beginning. I was like, I didn't want to start, okay, I start a company, come to me. I'm going to look for clients. I wanted to have clients before I actually take this decision to do something. So the people like from Borders, the gym that we mentioned a few times, I've been chatting with them here and there. They were having some marketing issues and I was sparring with them and helping them on small projects. And then when Mads's post came up, I was like, okay, this makes sense. Like I got Borders, I got another small gig, and there's Mads. And I was like, okay, I could actually make it into a full-time thing if I have those three at the same time. So it wasn't so much about the money at that point. It was more about let's see, let's risk. Let's throw ourselves into it and see what happens. It's important to say then in Denmark, you have a pretty good buffer, like from social security. So like if you're unemployed, you're being fairly well paid. I mean, for 2 years, you can live over something that resembles a minimum salary. I don't know, what would it be, Mads? I don't know. How do you translate that? But that's probably around $3,000 you get per month from the state before tax. And I didn't want to stay on it for a long time, but that was my plan I will use the fact that I have this buffer and I'll try to play with some of the freelance projects. And the conversation with Mads, it's funny because we both remember it the same way. I remember exactly what Mads said to me in this call was that, first of all, I told him that I was overqualified. And I think I told you this story that like when I was sending him my CV, I was in the middle of applying for other jobs as well. And I looked at my CV, like if he sees that, like he's never going to hire me because like we got all the projects and all the successes and all the companies I worked for, like he's just going to freak out and think of how much he has to pay me. So I just trimmed it down to like, this is the things that you need to know for me for this role. Basically, I climb, I know your company, I did marketing for similar companies. This is what I think we could do better with you. Literally, it was the bare minimum. I found it recently, that's why I remember it. Anyway, and then Mads told me this thing that he just mentioned, that he really dreams of this idea that we're just going to grow this company and make enough money so we can just travel and climb and be happy. And it sounds cliche, it didn't change my life, what he said, but it really spoke to my imagination, because I didn't think about career in these terms before. I was thinking like, should I be promoted to like a senior manager of something, or should I aim to be a head of marketing of some biggest company, and just like increase my paycheck, and with my paycheck just increase my spend, and just like forever chase this. You earn more, so you spend more. And when Mads said it, like it really resonated with me. This thing that we can just work, we can make money, and then we can go and be psyched and travel together. And I'm like, wow, this is a very different approach to employment, to what is work there for. And spoke to me, and then we just agreed on some basics. And because I had the buffer from the Danish state of the unemployment benefit, I could just go for like, it wasn't even salary, it was let's call it compensation. that
It's a little salary.
Yeah, there was a compensation, but like we both agreed to it. Like it wasn't about that. Like we both knew what we're getting ourselves into, and like we both believed that this can be big. I knew the product, I knew what can be fixed. And this is something that we, Mads and I and JT, and the other owner of the company we speak about, is that like we're doing well right now, but imagine how good we will be like if all of these things that we want to do will finally get fixed. Like we definitely see and feel the potential of this thing. It's just still it's a startup in many ways, even though Mads has been doing this for over 10 years. Like we do have this startup vibe of doing things quick and learning quick and failing quick and learning quick. And we really get this vibe of this is something, and it's not something that we just imagine. It's a real product and it's a real thing in the market.
Yeah. Oh, I love all that. Okay, I have two questions. I'm gonna stay with you, Pawel, for a little bit longer, and then we'll go back to you, Mads. Pawel, when you came in and joined Nature, what were, when you reached out to Mads and said, here's my trimmed down bare bones resume, here's why I think I can help you, what were some of the things that you saw right off the bat that you thought needed to change or that you could improve?
Some things were very, very basic, and I don't want to go maybe into details in like marketing strategy, but the stuff that I saw was, for example, back then you are showing products on your website that has to be handheld, like hangboards or portable hangboards or climbing holds. And you just have like beautiful pack shots, trimmed, beautifully looking on the website, but you never have pictures of actual hands and people using it. And then we have to actually, when we present our product, we have to present it in a way that is more in the context. And it just played out to a bigger idea for me that I've been climbing for, say, small 9 years, gym climbing mostly. And I only knew that portable hangboards exist. I never used one until I joined nature climbing. So that was my thought, that if me, has climbing friends, goes on climbing trips, knows quite a bit about the industry, doesn't use these products and doesn't know enough about them, like there's more people who have no idea what this is about. Because when I came in, I was psyched about the products right away. I knew most of them conceptually or from Mads's Instagram, but this was my thought that, and I still believe it's true, that my assumption is that we're in a niche sport still. It's getting big. It's probably the fastest growing sport in the world right now. But for me, it was a niche. We're in a niche sport, and then we're in a niche of bouldering. And in the niche of bouldering, we are producing gear for those people. And in this niche, we're doing stuff not made out of composite, but we're doing it out of granite and wood. So like you're really in a niche of a niche of a niche. And that's what I thought, that when you are such a niche product and new product, like you have to promote the category more than the product and your brand yourself. So I thought that we have to speak for finger training and hangboarding rather than stalkboard and stone hanger. I think that there's a lot of people in this community, and of course our point of view was a bit biased. We come from Denmark, where There's literally no climbing whatsoever. It's probably one of the most flat countries in the world.
Yes.
And maybe it was my point of view from Danish climbers or Scandinavia, or maybe Scandinavia has enough climbing, but let's stick to Denmark. That people should find out more about the activity and the category, which was, let's say, skin prepping, something that we're big on as well. That we should speak about these things more rather than the product, because I felt, or this was my hypothesis, that people might not know enough about the activity and the benefits of it, while they might still know about our brand and think of something that is artisanal. Because for a lot of people, I think at that point, like nature climbing, at least to me, was something artisanal, something rare, something handcrafted. I remember that it was one of the first things that, Mads, you told me that you're just fed up of talking about handcrafted and sustainable, because you felt that there was way more to it that the product offers. But we just like kind of became framed in this, like it's all handcrafted and beautifully designed in Scandinavian sustainable, but it had way more to offer. But we had to start talking about the category and the activity and to promote it itself, because I felt that maybe it's not spread wide enough, at least from the Danish point of view.
Right. You had to start selling the idea of what this could do for you, what this could do for people, not just this is what this is. Yeah, that's really smart.
Yeah, it's not the climbing shoe that everybody knows what to do with,
Right.
There's enough climbing gear that people know instinctively what does it do for you. But from where I came from and my climbing bubble, very few of us were hangboarding. Nobody had a portable or compact or their own hangboard. Hangboarding was something that you did in the gym, from my perspective, of course. I mean, probably in Mads's circles it was a bit different, but that was my hypothesis, that there's only so few hardcore climbers that already know what it is about, that we have to start promoting a bit wider. And then the whole idea of like, what do we do with our aesthetics and how do we not radically but slowly shift away from this handcraft sustainability aspect, which basically everybody can put on their company, but just to find more genuine and honest story, which is the story of Mads, what he said before, and what the products really offer. So that was it. And of course, there were like technical things of like fixing Google Shopping, fixing SEO, like the boring stuff that there is 10,000 people out there that can do it for you for no money in no time. And these were the low-hanging fruits. I think, maybe just to wrap it up, because I had enough experience in growing e-com businesses, I very quickly fixed the basic stuff, like the Google Shoppings and ads and Instagrams of the world. And then Mads saw, okay, there's some...
we saw results.
Fast. We saw results, yeah. We saw results. And then makes sense, okay, cool, we can start doing something. And I love this idea for Mads and I, that like we have these small wins, like we get a good month and we get psyched, Mads calls me and he's super happy. Like, did you see what's happening? Did you see amount of orders? Did you see this customer review? And it just drives us, and very quickly this started happening a year ago, that all these small wins just were a proof of concept that it makes sense what we're doing, and how I see it also makes sense for nature climbing. And it's not only my knowledge, it's like I base so much of the knowledge on Mads's experience and JT's experience as well.
Yeah. Pawel, when did you join Nature?
Probably a year to date. I don't know. We're talking mid-June, so probably around a year ago.
Okay. Yeah, pretty recent. Okay. That's exciting. Mads, I want to ask you more about how these holds are made, and I don't want you to give away any of your secrets, obviously, so whatever you feel comfortable with. But I think the thing I'm really fascinated with you guys is how you are thinking about scaling this business, because that is, I mean, you said you're moving away from this story of handcrafted, artisanal sustainability, which makes sense. You don't want to you don't want that to be your entire marketing plan. But that truly is what separates you from all the other, like there's so many other hold companies out there. And I've made climbing holds before. Before I pivoted into aerospace, I was working at Entreprise and I was managing their hold production in the States down in Bend. And we were making climbing holds all day. And for people that don't know how that works, basically, it's a little bit of an upfront financial and like time investment and resource investment to make the silicone molds for the holds. But then you just fill the molds with liquid polyurethane, and then it cures and becomes climbing holds, and then you take them out of the mold, and then you can make more, and then you can make more, and then you can make more. You can make like hundreds of holds in a day, and you can use the same molds over and over, and you can scale the production. And if, you know, someone wants 1,000 holds, it's not that difficult to meet that order. Whereas for you guys, I mean, I believe, Mads, you're still making like every single one of these holds that comes out of your shop. And, you know, of course you have to price them differently. Like, people need to recognize that they're getting something very, very different and very special and like very one of a kind when they order Granite holds from you guys. But how do you scale? Like, what does it look like 5 years from now if everything goes, you know, as well or even better than you ever imagined? How do you keep up with supply, demand, or with demands and sales and things like that? Like, is this teachable? Is the strategy to teach other people how to make them, or are there ways in which you can kind of automate, you know, parts of your process and make holds quicker, more efficiently, or with less of your personal time?
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting question, because as you said, all products like been through my hands until 5 months ago, where I hired our like worker guy Emil, which is now in the workshop, and we are producing together. But you know, it was the first time I just remember coming up here in the morning and seeing, you know, 10 stoke boards laying ready to be packed, and I was like, I haven't touched these stoke boards. Somebody else did, and I was just feeling, I was so psyched. I was so psyched.
You're like, thank God.
Like, yeah, like, okay. And also, it was very difficult for me to you know, let go, because I always been grinding the last 5%. It's been super important for me that it was perfect.
Yeah.
And when you're scaling, you can't do 100% perfect. And also 100% perfect is maybe 80% perfect for like normal people, or even less. Like, they don't see the things I see. So that was a process for me to learn, okay, let go, Mads, don't spend too much time on these 5%, because it's already like a really quality product. And I tried to teach that to Emil, and he learned. And I tried not to stand over his shoulders and watching too much, but yeah, no, we're working very good together. And I had 1 month where we just produced me and him in there, and now he's running it almost by himself, which was very lucky, because I got a little boy and I haven't been sleeping for 3 months. So it was perfect timing. Like, I'm very happy for that. But yeah, about the scaling process, you know, for Granite holds, there is a machinery. It's managed by a person. You can get another machine, manage it by 2 persons, get another machine. And I'm not afraid about us not being able to produce enough, because I know how to scale it. Also, you know, we've been doing a lot of the wood parts in-house. Now we found partners which have like bigger CNC machines, which cost $100,000, you know, maybe more, which they do like a lot of furniture stuff. So they can help us. Then I come with the same and say, hey, can you produce some of these parts? But all of the things we have is in our workshop. And, you know, with the stone hanger, we do all the engraving, sanding, put in like the hand grinded granite piece. And I don't think I will ever be able to just, if we had to scale so much that we didn't had the products here in the workshop, because that's for me, which are doing the last percentage where you can see, okay, this is a unique product. It's high quality. And yeah, I just want to be on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that all makes sense. I mean, it seems like there are certain things that you do. I don't know how those like flat rails are made with the granite, but it seems like that's something that would be easier to outsource or get more
Yeah.
people to help with or things like that. Whereas these actual raw granite holds, or even the diamond ones, there's a lot of artistry in choosing where to cut this piece of rock to make a cool hold.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you can teach someone who's a climber to recognize that and to make cool things, but it's definitely harder to outsource that part of it. That's always going to involve either you or a climber.
Definitely. And also, Emil is also a climber, and I remember first time I taught him how to like cut the rock and stuff. He got so psyched. Maybe there were like 50 holes on the table, and he was, oh, Mads, look at this hole. It's perfect. You have this little edge. And he just kept talking about it. I was like, this is a welcome gift for you. Take this hole, but I just say to you now that next time you have a new favorite hole, and next time you have a new favorite hole. And it happened. And when he's in there producing, I'm sitting here answering mails, making new products and stuff. He always comes in and like, hey, look at this. Like, see, can you see this edge? It's so sick. And that's what I love. And even though I made thousands of these granite holes, and even now I'm getting super psyched every time because every hole is unique. When you take it, we had Emil Abrahamsen. We did a YouTube with him, and he was up here seeing the production. How do we do it? It's really nice. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely see this episode. And he had the same. Yeah, he had the same. We stood two climbers here in the workshop and touching this wet granite edge. You could just see the eyes slowly closing. You were dreaming about standing in the forest, just going on your project and stuff. And that's what I love with these products. I can see it every time when we send it to route setters or I meet climbers or show the stone hanger, they touch the granite. I can see that they are dreaming. They're standing in the forest in front of the boulder suddenly. And that means a lot to me because I love outdoor climbing and I love our planet, and I want also to do sustainable products and not be a part of all the other stuff.
Yeah, well, let's dig into that more right now. That's a good lead into the sustainability piece because that is truly something that sets you guys apart from all these plastic hold manufacturers. And I don't have anything against plastic holds because I think they do serve a really cool purpose. I've got a tension board too in my garage, and being able to make these like perfectly symmetrical, really unique ergonomic shapes out of plastic is a really cool thing. But, we have gyms all around the world buying $10,000 worth of holds, every month or quarter. Some of these gyms have these giant budgets. And then we never talk about where all these holds go. Eventually they wear out and they become waste, and there's not really a great way to recycle them or do anything with them. And I think people have this misconception with you guys that you're, I don't know, dynamiting boulders to make all these granite holds, but it was really cool to hear where they actually come from. So tell me a little bit about that. Where do you source your materials? Because you're recycling. It's really neat.
Exactly. So for like the raw granite holds, it's leftover pieces for granite crowels. So stones that you
From
also
quarries,
use. Yeah, in quarries. Yeah. So stone that you use, when you're building roads and you have to do like a fence with rocks and stuff. Like it's leftover pieces. So that's very sustainable for us to use that. And I explained it to a lot of people many times because, as you said, are you like dynamiting boulders out in the forest? And like, no, of course we're not doing that. We would never use any material from a climbing area. Yeah, and also I have the same thing with plastic. It's not that I hate it. It's a part of the climbing gym. You will never be able to just make a climbing gym filled with granite holes or wood holes, but I just have a dream and a hope that maybe 10% of the holes could be somehow either our holds or other manufacturers in the future that thinks a little bit more about sustainability, and also to show that it's not only indoor climbing, but there's also outdoor climbing, and also telling people what is important when you go outdoor, like what happens if you don't brush this. I have like granite holes which we have really teared down, and when we go out and set some boulders, we show like this is what happens to rock if you don't brush it. This is what happens to rock if you put a lot of chalk and just go away and the rain pours down and press it into the structure of the rock. So, this is also important for me and Pavel and JT and all, like Emil, to showcase, hey, when you go outdoor, because it's amazing, remember to treat the outdoor with respect.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, it's so cool to think about ordering a set of holds from you guys, and it's like a Christmas present. You just don't know what you're going to get. I mean, if you buy your stone
Originals.
woodies, then you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the raw granite or the is it the diamond granite? I love those holes. They look beautiful. I just saw those yesterday and was like, whoa, I instantly wanted some. Those are so cool. How do you sell these things? Like, how do you communicate what people might be getting? Is it kind of by size, or do you like do packages of holds that are in-cut crimps versus, slopers, or how do you kind of differentiate and communicate what people are getting? Or do you just let them be completely surprised?
Also, we have like for the raw granite holds, we have two categories. We have bolt-on, which bolt-on, which have like the depth of the hold is normally bigger. So it's more like big beginner jogs. And also the size of them are a bit bigger. Then we have screw-on holes, which is, with screw-ons, of course. And they're normally just smaller, lower profile. And we try to, when we produce the holes, we try to make at least one of the edges in-cut. Because a lot of people want an in-cut edge. We get, people can leave a comment when they order holes and like, hey, I have a 45 degrees home wall, would be super psyched with some in-cut holes. And then we just choose some in-cut holes. But of course, sometimes you also get a slopey hold. And if you have a 45 degree wall and your dream was to just crimp hard on this granite hold, you have to use it for something else. But people can leave a comment for what they would like, and we try to choose the best way possible.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if anyone's listening and wants to order some holds after this conversation, be sure to communicate where you're going to be using them. I'm sure just the wall angle on its own is probably super helpful, because you're going to give them very different holds if they have a vertical wall versus a 45.
But normally all the holes can be used, on the different angles. So, yeah.
Nice. Who is it so far that has been drawn to your brand and is buying these things? And what do you see people getting out of your product? And like, I guess what I'm kind of getting at is like, I definitely see like having climbed on Tyler's wall, I see the value in what you guys are doing. It was such a cool experience. It's so unique and like helpful to learn how to learn the nuances of a hold and adapt your fingers to like an uneven edge that has all this cool granite texture and things like that. And if you don't get a chance to climb on rock very often, that's invaluable if you're preparing for a trip or something like this. But how do you help people get over the sticker shock? Because you guys are definitely in a different pricing category than other plastic hold manufacturers out there. And it's really clear just from looking at the website that you're getting something completely different. But yeah, like, I guess, what do you try to sell people on? Like, what is it that people get out of having your holds on their home wall or at their gym?
Should I
Max, you
take
want to
lead
take it?
or? Yeah, I can take the lead on
I
it.
can also
I
take
think
it, some part of it. Just go
yeah,
first.
I know. I will start. So I think first of all, I would say that we are selling more other products than climbing holes. So we sell a lot of climbing holes, but we sell even more stone hangers, raw hangers, stoke boards, because people can put them up in their apartment and do some training, and it's not just like it's not an art piece, but it's beautiful thing
Yeah, it
that
kind of
you
is.
yeah, like it's nice, it looks good. That's also what we are doing here, like we want to create good looking stuff. Yeah, so yeah, Pavel, can you add a little?
Yeah, I could talk a lot about it because this is something I think about a lot. Who buys these things, and there's a big truth to it that like from the stuff that can be used home is people who, let's say, value aesthetics is very obvious, but people who build their home wall, like their own home walls. This is, I think, I don't have a perfect number for it, but it is a substantial enough segment of people, because I guess when you're building a wall at home, I don't think it would look the best if you just like smash it with very colorful, big and plastic holes. They also do not age that nicely as much as the ones that we have. So I think people who build their home walls would be one segment of people who is interested in our brand because they want to put something on their wall that is rather good looking. And I think you can also think of people who already build a home wall. They're already crafty, do-it-yourself kind of people that value craftsmanship and aesthetics of our brand. So this would be one segment. But there's a whole another segment of what Matt said about people buying our hangboards and our portable hangboards, the stone hanger, which has been a great success for us. This is a topic of our conversations quite a bit recently. And then we spoke with Tyler Nelson last week, and then he said it's a perfect product, and he called it for weekend crashers or someone like that, like people who work like serious jobs and they just want to have something that preps them for the weekend trip because they're just in the office or they have a family and they can only climb hard on a rock 2 days per week. So they want to use, let's say, something that has a rock edge. So this is another segment for sure as well. But there's a lot of people who are just getting into pulling hard on a portable hangboard. And we've seen this from all these videos that are popping around YouTube right now and Instagram of people trying to pull as hard as possible and who pulls 100 and who pulls what. Definitely that's an aspect of people who are interested in it. But probably the core segment is what Mads described, people that are close to nature and people who care about the skin. There's one thing that Mads told me a year ago when we've been talking about Rhino products. We partnered up with Rhino, so we're close to their products as well. And we've been talking about the skin prepping products that Mads has. So some of the edges or hangboards that are aimed to prep your skin. And you told me, not sure if you remember, you told me that you know people who use Rhino and use the skin prepping kits and they get 1 or 2 days more out of their trip. And this for me was the best USP I've ever heard. I was like, say no more. I totally get what these 2 products offer, Like you don't just let alone like your skin gets tougher and you're prepping this and you can pull harder. Like that's fine, But like the idea that by using these products, you get not like that you can get stronger on your trip. You actually get more climbing and more days on the crag. That really spoke to my imagination that this is what we offer. And I think for a lot of people that holds truth, like, and I think that also represents our brand pretty well. Like we get more and more like super strong athletes, like Olympic level athletes, just right. Like Alison Vest wrote to us like, what was a month ago? Like, hey, I have this problem with my skin. I'm trying to prep my skin. And like, can you guys advise me? Like literally, it wasn't about like, literally she asked us for an advice, what to do with her skin and how to prep it. And that really speaks highly of what we're trying to do and what the product has to offer. But I think also what you asked in the beginning of this question, a lot of people will get something else out of it. And we had this talk with Mads the other day that like whoever we send it to, like people love something else and they like let us see other qualities of using the product. So like, I don't know, we started to send it to Ciara Fabri, who's our ambassador or one of our athletes. And she says like, wow, it's so great for building pain tolerance for rock. And I'm like, okay, I never thought about that. Like building pain tolerance, that's insane. And we send it to Eric Carlson, and he says like, wow, because of the friction on the edge, I can actually pull way harder on it than on a straight edge. And then we send it to someone else, and they say something else, like Emil Abramson's like, wow, like I was just in Japan, and like it was just perfect for my warm-ups because I couldn't warm up anywhere else. And like your gear was just perfect warm-up for climbing in Japan. So of course you can have USPs and you can find like the perfect customer and the perfect audience and the perfect match. But we know we have a great product. And Mads, you just told me today that it almost took you 5 years to create the stone hanger. That it's just not random. That like let's just throw out something out there and we know it's going to be good. Like, no, actually there was a thought process, and there's enough variety of climbing, and there's enough of people climbing in different conditions for different projects, for different reasons, with different skin, that they'll find different qualities in climbing on either on granite holds or pulling on a granite edge on a stone hanger. And I love it. Like every time I hear new feedback from someone, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing the marketing and storytelling, and I did not think about that. So it's awesome to get this great feedback from our audience.
That's super cool. Yeah, the stone hanger, it's neat to hear how much effort and thought and time went into that. It's such a uniquely cool product. For people listening, this is a portable hangboard that has an actual stone 20 mil edge. And yeah, the first time I saw it, I was just like, how the fuck did you get that in there? How did you do that? It's just immediately just like, wow, it's beautiful. It's so cool. Yeah, I think that's a really neat product, and it makes sense. I think it's really smart that you guys have kind of diversified your offering, and you have ways in which people can engage with your product and train on Granite. That's, a pretty low barrier to entry, like the stone hangers. Not that expensive. It's kind of in the similar ballpark as any other portable hangboard, and it's really unique and very cool. Mads, like, what is the potential of your Granite Woody series? I think from seeing Tyler's holds, it was really cool to see. And correct me, I think they're all made of granite. Is that right? They're all the same rock type?
It's all the same rock type. Yeah, we also have sandstone.
Oh, you have sandstone. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, because I wasn't sure if it was all granite and you were able to like just create different textures, or if it was different rock. Yep. But yeah, you have different rock. You have different textures. You can train on flat slopers that feel like Joe's Valley or something. It's really neat. What are the design limitations of that sort of thing? Like, are you ever going to be able to make curves or interesting like ergonomic shapes or anything, or is it would make sense that it would always be kind of confined with this upper limit just based on what a saw can cut? But yeah, do you have any plans for more complex products in the future?
Yeah, so we have some samples of some really big shapes, which, when I'm making new products, I'm like, would it be nice to make 1,000 of these? Or would it not be nice to make 1,000 of these?
Yeah.
At the moment, it wouldn't be nice to make 1,000 of this big hole. But it's in the process, and we're working on it. So there is definitely coming a series of holes which are bigger and more visual. But again, I also try to, grind the granite like round and curve it. But if you do that, you have to apply texture afterwards, which then will make this hold incredibly expensive. So it's also, our hold is a bit more expensive, but we just develop so much in the production, so it's actually not crazy compared to some of the big plastic shapes.
Yeah,
you could easily buy them as a gym, also B2B prices and stuff. Like it's not insane.
Yeah,
but there is a limitation, and I would say it's mostly because of production time. Like you could do some nice curved stuff, but I don't think nobody would pay this for a hole. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I really like the idea of just buying enough holds to make, like, if you can't afford a whole set of nature holds, just buying enough holds to make like one boulder on your wall. Or, if you're a gym and you want to try this out, like setting one granite route, that would be so cool to be able to walk in the gym and just have like the one granite route that has angle changes and all these different things that we would expect from a really high quality normal rock climb in a gym. But you're actually climbing on like different in cuts and shapes of granite. I mean, that would be really sick.
Well, actually, we're working on like this, nature circuit concept. Like in front you have the red, the blue, yellow circuit, but I have this dream about having a nature circuit in a climbing gym. So maybe you have 7-8 boulders on granite or sandstone, and you can go the circuit like. And it's the friction on these granite, you can't wear it down. I guess outdoor, if you clean them well and brush them, they last for a very, very long time. So yeah, I would love that just being able to go on nature circuit in a lot of gyms.
That's cool. I like that concept. That's really neat. Do you guys ever see nature climbing holds ending up on a World Cup route? Like, is that the future? Is that where things are headed?
Yeah, it happened once.
Oh, it did?
Yes. And it's my,
fist bump, yeah.
I've been, I have this friend, Pierre Breuer, which is, he has this team Blood Job route setting company in Paris. And he's setting a lot of the World Cups now. He's like super talented. And I met him in Fun many years ago, and we teamed up a lot of times. He also been setting here in the Boulders chain here in Denmark. And he was like, him and the guys there always been so psyched about the raw granite holes, like doing old school setting. You always have these jump clap holes, but they just wanted some crimping and log off. But so they had some of our holes, and at some point, Pierre, he called me and said, "Mads, see the qualification." And I went in to see qualification for the finals at the World Cup. I don't remember if maybe it was Munich or but then there was a nature climbing boulder, like boulder number 5, and I could just see in people's eyes. Some of them have tried them. I was like, "What is this? Is this rock?" And I remember the commentator saying, "It's super cool. They put like real rock on like this World Cup boulder." So, but it was. I don't think it will be like the next thing for the World Cup, but hopefully it would be something that will be in more climbing gyms all around the world.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's super cool. What is your vision for nature climbing?
What is my vision? I think, as I mentioned, and also as Pawel mentioned, I want to make meaningful products. We just not want to make a product just to earn money. And so I want the brand to be, when you hear nature climbing, you're like, this is a cool brand. I love their values. I will buy the products, and I want people to see I have them because I stand for the same values. Yeah, and it's just quality, a good brand. Yeah.
How
Do you
about
have
for you,
anything,
Pawel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like every gym to have one set of nature climbing holds, just one, 12 holds. You can play with it endlessly. And a hangboard. Like, we know that there is hangboards out there, that every gym in the world has at least one kind of hangboard, being it this brand or another brand. You see the same stuff. I don't see why most brands wouldn't have at least one stockboard from us to give people the chance to hang on a granite edge for the first time. That's how it was for me. The first time I ever climbed on rock was on nature climbing holds 10 years ago, because Borders Gym, they had it. And I still think for some countries or some cities, it will be the first time, especially now when like there's so many people starting climbing in the gyms right now. Yeah. Sometimes I think when I walk into the gym here in Copenhagen, that probably 80% of the people in the gym haven't been climbing even a year, maybe a year. It's still such a fast growing sport, and giving them a chance to touch real rock for the first time, that would be my ambition, and I think it's completely doable. And when it comes to the
No, just tell about your ambitions for the stone hanger. Your goal, the goal you had.
I don't remember even. Like it keeps changing.
Yes, no. You wanted some person to have the stone hanger.
Yeah. I said it. That's true.
You said it out loud.
I called people about it. Yes, I manifested it. No, when we got this, see him. He's keeping me accountable for what I say. No, when we got the stone hanger and the premiere was, let's say, in March, I was just playing with the product and I was just giving it to people. We've sent it to Emil Branson and like few others, and the feedback was so good. And I came to Mads and said, like, I want Ondra to have it in the next 12 months. And it's not about sponsoring Adam. It's not about getting into a collab with them. I just think it's a product that Adam Ondra will love. And I'm going to find a way to do that. I called Sam from Climbers Craig and I said, what do I have to do to get this product to Adam Ondra? And it comes from loving the product so much. I think that's possible. And that's the ambition. We talk about it a lot with Mads, that with the stone hangers, we don't want it to be an accessory the way carabiners became an accessory, but we want it to be something that people strap to their bag when they go to the climbing gym or when they go to the office and they just have it with them, because it offers them training, recovery, or getting stronger, whatever, warming up abilities, but also it just looks good. It's a statement piece to some extent.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that's a nice vision and an ambition for us to have to work towards.
That's cool. I was curious about this. I was looking at your products yesterday and refreshing, myself on everything that you guys make. And I was looking more closely at the stone hanger again. Would you and could you, like, is it feasibly possible to ever make a stone hanger that's all granite edges, all 4 edges are granite? I think that would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make it lightweight?
Yeah. It wouldn't be as convenient.
Yeah, no, you could you're not thinking like a whole piece of granite, right?
Not
just
a whole piece of granite. No, just all 4 edges are made of granite.
Yeah, you could do it. You could do it again. Would I make 1,000 of them? And will people pay for it?
Right.
Yeah,
Good
every time you
questions.
add this little hand grinded piece of stone, it's that's where some of the price comes. So
Yeah.
That's an old marketing and branding exercise. Is it different? Yes. Is it relevant? Not so much. But yeah, Mads, accept the challenge.
Yeah, maybe I would make a custom one for you, Steven.
Oh, I would love that. I would love to play with that. That'd be so fun. And building on the last question, what is your vision for each of you guys for your own lives as you grow your business? You've already spoken to this a little bit, Mads, but I really respect and admire how you guys are thinking about entering into like a partnership together and building this business together because of what it means for your lifestyles. And I think that's something that, especially Americans, it's changing. Young people are starting to really get it, but that's something that Americans don't think about enough. And, we are just taught how to think about growing, doing more, bigger, all those sorts of things. But it's so fun. And I've experienced this. I feel really grateful to finally in my life get to do something that I really love and to build a brand that I feel proud of and that I love, and that, not only lets me keep doing something fun that's contributing, but it gives me my dream lifestyle. Like, I feel so grateful that I took the leap and left my engineering job, because my life is so much more awesome now. And I think it's really cool that you guys are, it seems more driven by what your life could look like, having this beautiful life with a lot of space for climbing trips and community and going on adventures together, rather than simply being successful at making as much money as you could. So yeah, I'd love to hear more from each of you about that side of things.
Yeah, I can start on it. Like, I'm I remember also we discussed this, like for me, also for you, Steven, to see the nugget and see that you're climbing and you're getting better and better. Like for me, it means a lot for a brand that the founder is also, enjoying what we are in, like getting out and climbing on rock. So, and it's a balance, because I think we are experiencing right now, like the last year, we we are more busy. And how do you plan your life with also have this big dream about nature climbing as a company, and also you also want to climb, and you also want to start a family, and what is the balance here? But I always just dreamed about being able to create this brand and have this lifestyle and come out and meet climbers. And in the startup years, when I traveled around South Africa and Switzerland and all these places, I always had some nature climbing stuff, and I talked to other climbers, and it was a climbing holiday for me. But again, I was still telling story about a brand I had, which I think is so cool. And I can also see when you see climbing products from other brands that these persons are not climbers. I can see it on their hands when they're like holding this product, like you have never climbed. And it's for me, like with tension climbing and you and Thailand, all these guys, they are climbers. It's coming from their core, and it means a lot for me when liking and seeing a brand.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I definitely resonate with that. I trust a brand more, and I feel more connected to it when I know that the people behind it are out there doing it, and they're living and breathing it and doing it every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have thoughts to add to that, Pawel?
Yeah, I could just agree with everything you said. But one thing is different, that for me, maybe like yourself, Steven, it's fairly new to allow myself to dream that I don't need to have a career in the traditional way of thinking about a career. That I never imagined that people live this way, that you can actually create something that's meaningful to you and to people that are like you, and create products and create value, create a brand, but also at the same time have enough income to have a family, but also to travel. This is new, and I wanna nurture this idea. It's still, I find myself grinding when it comes to the amount of hours I work, because it comes from 9 years of experience working for big companies, and this has only been a year that I do that. And I cherish that a lot. This is when I see Mads, how he approaches these things, and when I hear you speak as well, and a few others, this is where I want to get everything else gonna get figured out, And we're in Denmark. It's a good place to be. We're safe here, and I think I'm in a good place right now.
Beautiful. Yeah, I really enjoyed talking with both you guys today. It's been really fun to get to know you both better and to hear more about your brand. And I really admire what you're making. I mean, I really delight in, and this is going to be weird because I'm giving myself a compliment, I guess, here, but I really care deeply about those final 1% that you were talking about, Mads, and being a craftsman with what I do. And it matters a lot to me to do the best job I possibly can. And I really delight in seeing that in other people. And it's really fun when someone's bringing that sort of attention to detail and energy and passion to something that I never would have touched and never would have made. It's just like, I get this. I get that guy. I'm like that guy, and that guy's like me. And I can tell a lot of love and care and time and sweat and energy went into these things. So really admire what you're doing. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. I can't wait to see a full Granite sport climb on a World Cup route someday. I think that would be so sick.
Come on, Pierre.
I think that would be so sick. I just have a few questions in wrapping up here. What are each of you guys proudest of?
Like business-wise, or just...
Yeah, business-wise, climbing-wise, whatever comes to mind first. Yeah, it'd be fun to hear.
I'm most proud of, I was never unsure that I wanted to build up nature climbing, But I remember at some point I was like, okay, is this the way I need to go, or do I have to do something else? And I sticked with nature climbing, and just now, a couple of months before my son was born, I felt like the company flipped. For the first time, I was able to be together with him and not grinding up in the workshop, and we were making money and we were getting orders. And I'm so grateful that I just sticked in it. It's 10 years since I started the company, and in the first 4 or 5 years it was fun. I did a lot of other stuff. I was fruit sitter, I was climbing. It wasn't serious, but at some point it became serious, and I'm proud that I just sticked with my dream, and it happened. Yeah.
That's great. Did you almost quit at one point?
I wouldn't say that I almost quit, but I was thinking about, going into this traditional thing of like taking a study in furniture building or architecture, or, because all of my other friends, like every one of them, were doing this. And it was only because of my family and being entrepreneurs and my mom that they just supported me and, go for this dream. And, you don't have to rush. It's a long life. You will get super old. So chill. Yeah.
That's great. That's beautiful. How about for you, Powell? I think I keep switching back and forth. I call you Powell and then I call you Pavel, and I just keep alternating between the two.
It hits my split personality. Like we both hear it. It's a good question, but the first thing that comes to mind is that I'm proud of the place where I'm at because of the random choices I've taken. That I didn't know what to study. I didn't know where to work. I didn't know what kind of career I wanted. And there is like a red thread from me having a garage skate shop to then moving to Denmark because of a girl. I ended up in Denmark, and then meeting someone in a skate shop that got me into climbing, and all these things, a lot of randomness, where I was lost so many times and burned out so many times. And I questioned, like, why am I doing this? But I enjoyed the randomness, and I enjoyed taking risk, and I enjoyed quitting when I had a good salary, and I enjoyed joining Mads when I just thought it's a good leap of faith. Today, when I look at it, I think there is a nice pattern in the randomness, if you can say this in philosophical terms, but it all means today, and I'm really proud of it. I think it's a cool story that is not linear, and I think it's also I actually think we're all the same age, that for people our generation, there is no linearity in careers. Like, we have to jump and take random choices, and you don't know what's going to get useful when. And I really feel strong because of all the experience today, and strong that I can contribute to Mads and to contribute to his family as well. It's so nice that it happened in a year, and I got to meet so many like amazing people in the last year because of joining nature climbing. I could name drop so many hardcore climbers and people that I've met and climbed with and belayed just because of being nature climbing connected to someone. And you meet someone strong, and then you just talk your brand about with them. It's beautiful, and it just happened in a year, and I'm super grateful for that.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm so excited for both of you guys. I'm so excited to see what this becomes and how it continues to grow. We've been talking about this, of course, the whole time, but tell me your elevator pitch in wrapping up here. Why should people buy your holds?
Mads, you know it better.
Okay. Why should people buy our?
You like visibly
climbing?
got uncomfortable. I can tell you don't like this.
Yes.
You don't like this question.
Okay, I'm ready. No,
Scandinavian and humble.
yeah. Scandinavian humble. I would say, why should people buy our climbing products? Because it's not just holds, but they should buy them because they have love for aesthetics and the last 1%. And because they care about our planet and sustainability and craftsmanship, and want to have super good skin for climbing outdoor. let's go.
Let's go. That's awesome. Mads, do you train on all your own? Do you train on anything but granite at this point in your life?
Yeah, I do. If you climb only on granite indoor, your skin would be destroyed. But
yeah, right. There's a fine line there between prepping and destroying.
Exactly, yeah. But I used it a lot up to climbing trips. Started just pulling hard on edges, and so when you're not close to outdoor climbing, I just every person who have been outdoor climbing, can feel this pulling on the first granite edge and be like, oh my God, it's hurting. So yeah, I prepped for my trips. So I even set replicas on granite holes, trained on them. There's this hourglass in Västervik in Sweden. I've measured all the holes and set it on the climbing workshop is on top of a climbing gym. So
that's so cool.
It's super nice, yeah. So we put it up and trained for it, and I haven't climbed hourglass yet, but let's see. So
that's where my brain went when I was looking through your catalog of holds the other day. This is like so ridiculously overkill. I don't know if I'll ever actually do this, but my like ridiculous, luxurious like dream would be to someday have a second wall in my garage where I can just build replicas for climbs I want to do.
Yeah.
I think that would be so sick. And I had the thought of like, whoa, like what if I made volumes out of wood to like get the holds in the right space, in 3-dimensional space, and then actually climbed on like the right rock type, like climbed on granite to train for my projects here in Leavenworth during the off season or whatever. Yeah. It just got me like, it kind of lit me up. It got me all excited and curious. Is it hard to find shapes that represent, the holds accurately and things like that?
If you have 50 shapes, you can easily find the depth of the holes or something like features, or just stacking them. On hourglass, you have this 2-finger weird side pull thing, and I just stacked some holes, and it felt super similar. But of course, if you have 10 holes, maybe it's a bit harder. But yeah, I felt it was like really close. But it's easy for me because I can produce the edge if so. But it felt super cool, and we were like 5 people climbing on this boulder for a while. 2 have climbed it now.
2 have climbed it now.
Yes.
Do you think it's as hard as the real thing?
Yeah, it's hard. I think
harder.
Yeah, Jim said it maybe felt a bit harder, and yeah, I don't know. It's difficult. You always, when you're out there and you're sending, it can feel easy somehow, or and the other 100 times you tried it felt super fucking impossible. So yeah.
Do you ever take requests? I know I'm kind of going rogue here, but do you ever take requests? Like, could someone send you a photo of the hold on their project and be like, hey, can you make sure that one of the ones in my pack of 6 or pack of 12 or whatever more or less matches this size?
Yeah. Like 5 years ago, I did it because we didn't have so many orders. But now it's impossible to
too much,
custom made it this way. But if sometimes we do it.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. It's been such a pleasure to talk to both of you. And for people listening, definitely go check out Nature Climbing. If you haven't yet, you can find them at natureclimbing.com. They've got all sorts of really cool different climbing holds. They've got a full-size hangboard. They've got some portable hangboards. You guys have brushes and other training equipment and stuff like that. And you also are a distributor for some of your other favorite products. So do go check them out and let us know how it goes training on your granite holds in your home wall or on your hangboard at home. And you can use code NUGGET for 20% off any Nature Climbing products. And yeah, I'm super psyched about what you guys are doing. And I just wish you nothing but the best. Is there anything else you want to share or leave people with before I let you go?
No, I think we're good. I'm just smiling here. I'm just
Yeah, me
happy
too.
that we did that. It was just so nice to talk to you. It's a nice exercise for us. It's always nice to come out and speak about the brand and check on ourselves and get this feedback that we're getting from you. It just keeps us going.
So thank you for that.
Of course. Well, it's my pleasure. I've really enjoyed it. And all the respect for you guys. I really admire what you're doing and just keep it up.
Thank you.
Keep doing the good work.
You too.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Once again, natureclimbing.com, code NUGGET for 20% off. Enjoy your shopping and your climbing and your training and your skin prepping. And we will see you next time.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, no one can do it like we do. No one can do it like we do. I love this melody.
Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it.